Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to a new episode of your weekly program here on Nile TV International, The Ambassador. I'm your host, Nancy Sarah Barakat, and today I have the pleasure of sitting down with His Excellency, the Ambassador of Cameroon to Egypt, Dr. Mahamadou Labarang. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, Your Excellency. Let me start off by asking you, as usual here on the program, we like to acquaint our viewers with the Ambassador himself and his career first. So, what was it about diplomacy that made you want to pursue a career in this field?
Well, to tell the truth, I'm not a diplomat.
Okay.
I happen to be a diplomat by, let's say, by destiny.
Okay.
In fact, I was educated as a civil administrator. Supposed to be, managing some, in our country, managing some ministries, right, or the regional department of ministries. It so happened that when I was appointed, my first appointment was I was assistant SDO of one remote place, right, in Cameroon, which is very far north, where you have this this Boko Haram, going on, the attacks going on.
Right.
Yeah. So I was appointed there. It so happened that our president once came on a visit, right, found me there and asked me, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I've been appointed here as the assistant to the DO, which is the division officer." Right. Okay, and he just decided that he would take me with him at the presidency. When he went back, I had a decree appointing me as attaché at the presidency of the Republic. Right. So that's how it all began.
That's quite a twist of fate, isn't it?
Yes.
Right.
It happened that our president, his wife, was from that part of the country. Right. He went to visit his mother-in-law. Right. And it happened that my boss, which is the DO, the district officer, was on vacation. So I had to do all what it takes to receive the president, which I did. I was very young at that time. I was 25 years. So I did my best. It so happened that he was maybe impressed, and then he decided all of a sudden to call me in his cabinet. What we mean cabinet is in the office of the president. Right. So this is how it all began. And then from the office of the president, how was it then that you became a diplomat? Okay, what happened is that I worked there for about 1 year and a half. And then I was appointed as minister, deputy secretary general at the presidency of the Republic. Right. I was 27 at that time. So I worked with him, our present president. The one who brought me in the presidency is not our president, who is now. Right. It was a former president. The new president came, found me at the presidency, and he saw the work I was doing, and he decided now to promote me as assistant deputy secretary general at the presidency of the Republic, which is supervising all the ministries in Cameroon. It was not an easy task. I stayed there for about 1 year and 8 months. Right. And then reshuffling came, and I was appointed as minister delegate at the presidency in charge of state control, right, which means like auditor general here in Egypt. So it was not an easy task, you may imagine, controlling all the ministries, all the parastatals, and I stayed there for about 3 years. Right. And then a reshuffling came, and I had to leave the government and go now to diplomacy. Right. And then they asked me where I wanted to go. I chose to go to Saudi Arabia. Right. And I went there, stayed there as ambassador, covering around 12 countries. Right. And I stayed there for, can you imagine how many years? 17 years.
Wow, that's a very long time.
Yes.
Right.
So I witnessed the Gulf War, which is the Iraqi war, as you remember, and all what it took. And after that, in 2008, I was appointed here as ambassador.
Right.
And so I came here in August, presented my credentials in October to the former president, Mubarak.
Right.
And then, so I witnessed all what happened with the revolution, the two revolutions.
Right, you did.
And here I am. So I would say that I became a diplomat by practice.
Right.
My first career objective was to be like, like my boss, my former boss, which is the district officer, which is like somebody who is now, you have the governorate of Giza or the governorate of Cairo. So this the man responsible to rule the entire region. This is what my aim at the beginning, but it came, turned around, and I became a diplomat.
But it's also a fantastic story of empowering youth. You started off at 25 and your president saw potential and he took you on, and that I think is a fantastic element to your story of success, because when you see potential in someone, even if they're young, and you empower them, that's not something very traditional.
No.
It's something outside of the box. Your Excellency, I wanted to ask you, how are you finding being a diplomat? I mean, you've got 17 years in Saudi Arabia, a couple more years here. How has it been like, your journey?
Well, I would say it's a quite different school of life. I was willing to be somebody working inside my country, to go on the field and see how we can help for the development of our regions. It so happened that I had to go outside my country. I live now about 25 years as ambassador, which is a very long time. But also it is, I think, great school, because you get to know all the cultures, all the countries, see the similarities of problems, also the differences in the way people are eking out the existence and are trying to solve problems, and you get to gain and learn from that. For me, it was it is a very passionate learning, which is going on year after year. And the most important is that you get to meet other individuals, other human beings, and it opens your eyes on things. And it gives you a global view of what humanity is. And for me, if you see in my curriculum, I am, philosopher, who put that. So it is for me a way of joining the teaching and the practice. And I happen to understand now what human being is and how you should take things the way they are, trying to improve them and trying to build friendship and humanity as a whole.
Before I expand on that, because I do know that Your Excellency actually has a PhD in political philosophy, and I wanted to discuss that for a little bit, but you mentioned that you actually chose to be posted in Saudi Arabia. What was that decision based on?
It was based on the fact that, of course, I'm a Muslim.
Of course.
And I think the teaching of my father. My father was a scholar in, the surrounding of our place. He was reputed to be somebody who had a view, very open view. You know, I, as a Muslim, grew in the Muslim community, but my father made it a point of honor to send me to the Catholic schools.
Right.
So I did all my secondary school with the Catholic people. And by the way, my children also, I make sure that they went through that.
Right.
Why? Because when you go through the teaching of religion, and it is very important to point that out, you get to find out that, in fact, we don't choose our religions.
Right.
Like we don't choose where we are born. You are born in a family, you find that family in practicing a religion. It's very rare that you see somebody changing their religion. And when you go into the deep teachings of all the religious beliefs, you find out that everybody is trying by their way to reach to the transcendency, which is God. And the way they do it is the way they have learned to do it from their childhood.
Right.
So having the possibility, which I had by virtue of what my father decided, to know exactly what others, the way they are practicing,
right,
made me deepen the way I practice my religion as a Muslim.
Right.
I got to find out that, in fact, you know, it is like speaking different languages, trying to express yourself. And there is one song in Spanish which says, "De qué color es la piel de Dios?" Which, if I ask you, which is the color of God's, what is the color of God's skin?
Right.
Nobody would say. You see, but everybody is trying, struggling to achieve, to reach to God. So for me, this experience gave me the opportunity to try and deepen my own faith. And I knew that Saudi Arabia, which is the Mahad al-Islam, could give me that possibility.
Right.
Which I did, and I really I'm appreciative to God what He did to me, because I had this possibility to visit the Kaaba, to enter into the Kaaba more than 20 times, or
Fantastic.
Yes, every year you know we have this possibility to go and wash Kaaba.
Yes.
During the Ramadan, before Ramadan start, and also before Hajj.
Yes.
So all diplomatic community, Muslim diplomatic community is convened to go there. So which I took advantage of. So for me, the choice was that, you know, I am a Muslim, I want to serve my country, which is to also try to improve the relationship between my country and the Arab world, because at one point in a time in the life on our country there was this misunderstanding that was prevailing a little bit, because you know in Cameroon we had this shift. You know, our former president left, the new president came. Our former president was a Muslim, new president came, he's a Christian, which again is the way we think about it. You know, in our country we don't dwell on religion. Who is the best at the best place to serve the country? He's the one. So the president, our president Paul Biya, who is Christian, but who has been working with the former president, and he was chosen by the former president to become, president, and he's still there. After that, the whole population, the whole people elected him and has been electing him for so long time.
Right.
Which means that in our country, contrary to what is happening in other countries, religion is not an issue of discord.
How did you as a people get to that understanding? Because again, it has to be something in the system, something in the way you were raised that lets you reach that point where religion or religious differences no longer matter.
Okay, this is the way of living in Cameroon.
Right.
I will give you the example of myself. As I told you, my father decided to send me to the Catholic, which is we call Collège de Masno, which is known in Cameroon. And there, it is a Catholic institution, and they were doing their, but they made sure that we Muslims, because we are many Muslims in that institution, that when it is Ramadan time, they will arrange the hours so that we could have our time to go for the Taraweeh.
Okay.
They will do that. And they will also change the way, they serve us in the, what we call refectoire, in the dining place. Right. And they will give special instruction to change the diet for us. You see, and it has been like this. So for us, to tell the truth, each Cameroonian, those who are really educated, they understand that.
Right.
That's why we don't have this kind of problem in Cameroon.
Right.
And we thank God for that, and we thank also our leaders, because they make sure that in schools we are a secular state.
Right.
But we don't preclude anybody from practicing their religion. They will give you, if you are a Muslim, they'll bring an imam who will be following the Muslims, and if they want to do their prayers, they will do.
Right.
If you are Catholic or Protestant or Christian, they also provide you for an imam who is doing that. Right. So all in Cameroon, we don't have this problem. And I think it is due to the fact that naturally Cameroonians, because we are so diverse,
right,
280 tribes living in the same country. So some of them, they don't even understand each other by the language. Right. So what if now we bring again this question of religion? See, for example, I am speaking English now, but I'm not an English speaking at the beginning. I'm Francophone. Right. But in our country, English and French are two official languages, which we inherited from the colonization. But why did we choose that? Because we have so many tribes. Which one are you going to choose to be the national language without creating, a problem? It is the same as, so we have this culture of tolerance. Diversity for us means richness. Right. It is not an issue of fight or an issue of dispute. Right. Of course, as you know, as in everywhere, there are some ill-thinking people that try to do that, but then the state comes and is very strict, do not accept this. Right.
I wanted to ask you how it felt like for you to be away from home for that very first time.
Well, for me, to tell the truth, it has not been easy. Right. But my children, I was very surprised. They adapted very quickly. For me and my wife, it was not easy at all. But since it was my choice, I had the choice to go somewhere else, but I chose to go to Saudi Arabia. So it was my choice. So I had to cope with that, and after 2-3 years, then found the way. Right. Yes.
So from Saudi Arabia you came to Egypt because I understand you also served as the ambassador of Cameroon in the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait,
Yeah,
Bahrain,
as non-residing ambassador. I was covering 12 countries from Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Yes,
so just the shift perhaps from living in Saudi Arabia to coming to live in Egypt, how have you adapted to that? Do you find many differences or perhaps similarities between the two countries?
Well, there are many similarities, but the most the thing that struck me is the friendliness, the friendliness of people right away.
Right.
You know, in the Gulf region, not only Saudi Arabia, it takes time for you to make real friends because they are a little bit distant, which you understand also.
Right.
But when you have a friend, there you have a real friend. You can count on him, and so it takes you time to do your homework to build the relation. Here is so easy.
Right.
So easy that, you know, from the airport, you just, you know, they will just crack jokes with you, and then, I think it is the culture of openness of the Egyptian people, which is well known, and they are very warm in the way they accept people. This is what struck us, which is, you know, positively struck us.
Right.
Of course.
And what about the similarities, perhaps, or differences between Cameroon, living in Cameroon, and living here in Egypt?
Okay. First, in Cameroon, you should know that, as I told you, Cameroon is the entire Africa in one country.
Right.
You know, we stretch from the seashore of Atlantic to Lake Chad, which is 1,200 kilometers. Right. So, you know, the scope of the landscape and the type of people is different. So you cannot say that you have a typical one Cameroon way of being, which can be compared to one, you know. So coming from the northern part of the country, which is the Muslim, majority Muslim part of the country, I find many similarities because of the way, you know, the sequential of time. You know, you'll hear the muazzin, you'll hear, you know, people going to prayers, and you'll hear the way we at the festivities that we perform during, you know, so it is quite the same. And also you see my name.
Right.
My name is Muhammadu, they say, but why the Muhammad? It's Muhammad, in fact. But since we are learning, you know, the Fusha Arabic, they will say the Dhamma, so you say Muhammadu. Right. That's why. You see, my wife's name is Aisha, but I was call her Aisha too, or Aisha too. You see, so these are the similarities that we find. But also when you go in the south, which is more, I would say, more developed in our country, the way of living is urban.
Right.
Urban way of living. So we find also the same similarities. People are living in buildings. You know, the way they interact with each other is different from the one who is living in the village.
Right.
You see, so we don't have any problem to integrate. You know, we have our colleagues and also our citizens who have been living here.
Right.
Some of them, you know, when they talk, you wouldn't say that they are not Egyptian. The way they talk, you know, you can take one of my people here. When he speaks, you wouldn't, even with the skin, because we have, you know, in the Aswan region, people that will speak the way they speak. So we don't have any. We feel at ease.
That is fantastic, and I think that is the most important thing. Well, how is your Arabic, Your Excellency? Have you adapted yourself to Egyptian Arabic, or are you just doing the formal
No,
language?
I must confess that I can, if I go into the souk, it would be very difficult for me to go around, because I did not have this opportunity to go and liaise with people and interact with the people. What I do is on the more formal, and I'm very cautious to make sure that I don't go in field that I don't understand. So I try to be, my Arabic in the Fusha, Arabic, and keep myself into that.
Your Excellency mentioned obviously your two main postings were in Saudi Arabia and in Egypt. How have these two interactions or these two countries actually helped you gain a greater understanding of the region?
Well, it's, as somebody puts it, the Middle East, complicated Middle East. You remember who told that? General de Gaulle.
Yes.
Who called le Moyen-Orient compliqué.
Yes.
Which is really a complex region, but also living here, you get to understand, the rationales that are lying underneath some of the situations.
Right.
Nobody can pretend that he understands what is happening, but you can have clues.
Yeah.
Because if you go, you read and you see and you participate in some meetings, you understand that the Arab world in general, like the African world, they have been trying to get their own dignity back.
Right.
Each time you hear something happening, it's because somebody somewhere trying to really, get rid of some of the hindrances that they inherited from, let's say, the colonization time.
Right.
This is the same thing that we have been facing in Africa. But the advantage that you have as Arabs, that you speak the same language, have the same culture. I would say, when I say culture in general, more or less. And at one point in the time, some of the leaders even thought of using what they call pan-Arabism to get the solidarity of all Arab countries together to face the challenges.
Right.
The outcome was different, as you know, but that gives you the clue that there is taking into conscience of the fact that something needs to be done to bring together all the ranks of the people, independently of the governments and everything. So you have seen the creation of Arab League of Nations, you have seen the creation of all those different institutions. At the end of the day, what matters is how are we going to get free from the burden of the past to build a new era for the youth to feel at home and feel proud of what they are as Arabs.
With your extensive knowledge, obviously, now of all these aspects, with your knowledge in political philosophy, how do you see that there is a way out? How do you think that this, what you mention as breaking away from or breaking free of, how do you think that happens?
Well, I see that happen in two ways. First, it has to happen because now the world is globalizing. Right. Nobody can be, no country is an island. Nobody can pretend to govern their countries ignoring what is happening, around them.
Right.
This is one. Second, you have the youth who, by the grace of development of education and also the being open to all influences coming with the new technologies of information and communication, they have another way of thinking which is different from what their fathers or forefathers had. So, and they participate consciously or unconsciously to a way of looking into, you know, the world. German would put it like Weltanschauung, the way they see the world,
right,
which is quite different from. So they don't think about borders.
Right.
They don't think about you know, somebody can live here in Egypt, in Cairo, and tomorrow you find him living in Sana'a with no problem at all.
Right.
Because they have the schemes of education, most of them are the like. And now everybody is aspiring to a more free way of thinking. So this gives me the thinking that eventually all those problems that we are facing here would come to, not to evacuate it, but come to have solutions. But it would take time. It would take maybe some crisis, as it did. You know, people thought that they would come and bring what they say the Arab Spring here, not knowing that you know, we have to study very carefully the wavings of the societies,
yes,
where people live. You don't bring, you know, ideologies or ideas from above and try to impose on people.
right,
This is what happened, unfortunately.
yes,
You know, what happened in Iraq, we see what is happening, and what happened in some of the countries. So, my vision is that the youth, you know, they know better than we, than us.
But when you say that, that's very enlightening, because that is not how most people from your generation, the older generation think. They think we know better than the youth. How do you empower youth and give them the opportunity to try and make changes and perhaps even better their societies?
I used to say to my children, because you know, when you think about something, you start home. I say, I don't have anything to give you but good education.
Right.
I will go the extra mile to sacrifice and give you what it takes to be well educated. When I say well educated, not only the learning, but also the way of being, you know, the way you take care of yourself by yourself,
Right.
you know, the way you think about yourself. Don't forget your roots, but also don't stay stuck to your roots. You have to try to see up there, because the sun is up there, and if you only see down, you are going to be stuck there and you are going to go nowhere. So for me is education. Give them the way they themselves can take care of themselves and be able to make their own decisions, learned decisions, and decisions that take into account all parameters.
Right.
And you can only do that when you let them have good education.
Right. Your Excellency, obviously you've mentioned you've been in the diplomatic field for 25 years. How has diplomacy changed over those 25 years?
Well, you know, before all these means of communication were not there. Our presidents, and they relied on the reports of the diplomats. You have the valise diplomatique, which is the diplomatic couch, which was trying to transmit information. Now everything has changed. Before even you make your report, the president maybe had already spoken to his counterpart.
Right.
And yes, and he has followed on the media what you are going to tell him.
Right.
So the role of diplomacy has tremendously changed in nature.
Right.
If you stay the former way, you become useless. So now, what to do? To be proactive, but to know that now diplomacy is more to bring together countries to develop what they can have interest in each other.
Right.
What I mean is that it's more economic diplomacy than something else. If people they know that they have a reason to cooperate, to make trade, you see, to make trade, to make investment, they are more likely to be friendly than if they are only just, you know, blah blah on cultural and you are friendly and this. So first, diplomacy is now economic diplomacy.
Right.
That's the reason why I can say that, because, you know, while I was in Saudi Arabia, I happened also to represent my country on the board of the Islamic Development Bank. As such, I have been given the opportunity to visit so many different African countries and also Asian and European countries.
Right.
Because the bank is working on a global scale. So one of the things that I really appreciated in that is that it gives you possibility to bring in the interest of countries, and you see that when you give them the possibility to have a way of together doing something that is beneficial for both peoples, you see how the friendship is getting stronger and stronger.
Right.
Yes, this is one of the teachings that I learned, and I think that we need to dwell on that if you want things to go. So if you don't want to become useless diplomat, you have to do what it takes for you to make sure that if Egypt wants to have good relations with Cameroon, what are we doing to see that economic ties, commercial ties, investment, how they are going to be developed, so that, you know, even if you are not there, you know the business people, they know how to be together.
Right. Your Excellency, what unique role do you see diplomacy is playing in facing the myriad of global challenges that we face today?
Well, as you know, diplomacy has always been the civilized way of resolving conflicts and misunderstandings. Whatever they will say, at the end of the day, even if you go on war, you have to resort to diplomacy to sign treaties, you know, to end the war.
Right.
So I think diplomacy, the way I see it, after, you know, because I learned it on the job,
right,
is a very important tool if it is well used to diffuse issues before they get worse. And it takes for that the knowledge of the human nature. That brings us back to the fact that if you want really to be efficient, you should not only apply rules.
Right.
No, you should also understand. And understanding needs a lot of, you know, homework, and having done, you know, your humanities, as they say in French, makes you understand the human nature and gives you an edge.
Right.
Yes. To you know, go along with your partners, because we are all partners. We're never adversaries, or what. Even if you are at odds, at the end of the day, you breathe the same air, you drink the same water, to live. The issues are conjunctural issues, but the main aim of we living together is to achieve peace, general peace in the world, not the peace of symmetries, but the peace of people who know that they share this world together, but they have inherited this world and it is not theirs. It is the world that they should live better to the coming generation. And so if you have children, you understand that you should do it. Not because of your function, because of, you know that everybody, you, me, everybody who has children know that they want to live this world better for their the future generation.
And do you think that knowledge, that human knowledge, that knowledge of humanity and how people should think, and that people-to-people contact, do you think that distinguishes one diplomat from the other?
I think yes. You have people who come and they do diplomacy the way they learned it in school. Sometimes people tell me, this is the book way of doing. No, I say no. You have to be pragmatic. What do we want? Just for us to have good reports and say it's well written and this is the ideas are following is okay, or do you want to solve problems? If you want to solve problems, you need to step toward your counterpart. I never would say your adversary or no, your partner. Partnering is the best concept I think I would give when somebody is a diplomat, to know how better can I partner with people that I interact with. Be it my people or people in the where I'm posted, or in the region or in the world. You see, this is very important to have that state of mind. But if you are formatted to be so formal, to be only trying to apply rules and this, you will face many problems, many misunderstandings.
What, from your point of view, Your Excellency, are the biggest challenges facing the world today?
Well, I think always at a point in time in history, they will say this is the biggest challenge. I think the biggest challenge for me is how do we pursue the global aim, which is not only for us, which is for the whole humanity. You see, people sometimes say that bilateral diplomacy is the best way of, I don't agree. I think multilateral diplomacy, which takes into account the global problems of everybody, is the best venue to solve problems. If you can come together, think about the problem, which is a problem for the whole humanity, or the whole region or sub-region. When you solve those problems, you have solved the root problems that sometimes create misunderstanding. So it gives you the possibility to see the point of view of others. Try to understand why they wouldn't like this to be A or B, and why you want to be C and D. How are we going to come together and choose the best middle path that brings us together, rather than put us at odds? So the biggest challenge is to come into this state frame of mind, which is not very easy, because as we see, for example, if I take the international institutions, IMF, World Bank, when they started, these policies of structural adjustments in our countries, we were telling them that this is not the good way, because you come with your theories and way of doing that has maybe performed well somewhere else, and you think that you can just apply them in our societies, the weaving of the society is not the same.
Right.
So, and they went on, and they because we were indebted, they forced those solutions on us, and at the end they themselves, now after 25 years, they come and say, no, we recognize that we did not do the right way, but the burden and the harm has been done on our population who have suffered, who are jobless, who are not having the health facilities what they deserve. So now how do we come out of that? It's only by sitting together and facing the issues, transversally, not only looking into one issue after another.
Right.
You see, so my understanding is that it is now people are trying, look at those big companies now, Bill Gates, they have made monies, and now they understand that they have to go back to those societies where the harm has been done, not because of them, but because of the policies that we are being, to go and give back. You see, so I think we learn from that. And the way, for example, as I take an example, the way lately in February, they organized here this forum on African economy, gives the way, I think, the best way to go, because you don't treat country by country, you treat the problem as a whole. Right. And you bring those leaders, those people together to see what are our problems, which are global to everybody. How can we go solving them the right way, taking into account the ideas of A and B and C, and trying to bring together all those ideas and come up with a solution that is consensual and that gives ownership of the solution to everybody. Right.
So in essence, yes, if African countries come together as one, as you say, to solve their own problems, do you think that will make for a much stronger continent?
Of course. Every time you come to present a problem to anybody, even if he's the most generous, first even if he would help you, he will say, but did he try? Did they try another way? Okay, I'm generous, I will give, but is it going to solve the problem? So the idea is not for Africa to come as the one to be against, no, to know our problems.
Right.
We are endowed with so many richness, so much that we ourselves are sometimes very surprised to see how people are running to come to our places. So everybody now is running back to Africa.
Right.
Why don't we, as Africans, devise a way of solving those problems? And I think now people have started to think about it. And again, I will come back to the young generation.
Right.
Those young generations, they don't have this frame of mind that is precluding, thinking that, sovereignty is okay. But at the end of the day, if you are not able to feed your people, you are not sovereign at all.
Right.
So you see, for me, it's like, what are our problems? If you go into the details, you see that those problems are all similar. There is nothing new in this world. Those problems are similar. How do we go trying to solve them?
Right.
If everybody goes his own way, in my tribe they will say one hand can never tie a bunch of wood.
Right.
You can never. One hand cannot put a roof on a building. So you have to come together. If you come together, everybody has their own way of seeing it, but talk, discuss, the African palaver,
right.
we call it.